Yes, guys, welcome back to SFeatleyTV, and we're here for the Chequered Flag show, right? Your weekly news F1 show. I've got a new guest on for us. I've got Rick Sanchez. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Like a bit stressed as a Hamilton fan, but it's about time. We had a title race going down to this close to the wire, so.
Oh, I,
Uh,
I agree.
but yeah, I mean, obviously we'll get straight into it. Obviously, first off, as a newcomer to the channel, who is the favorite driver you support on the track at the minute?
Oh, good question actually, because I'm more of just a general F1 fan. I just like to watch good
Mm.
racing. Obviously, there's a bit of me that's like, yeah, God, I'm more of a Hamilton fan, a little bit. So I would class myself as a Hamilton fan, but genuinely, I'm all about just watching good racing, really. So I don't really mind who wins. So long as it's a good race, then that's good with me. But come on now, you got to support
Okay.
Hamilton. So you want the Brits to win at all costs.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, what Hamilton's managed to achieve is just beyond crazy. So,
Exactly.
um, yeah, and obviously, this season, if it all was going the normal route, if it would have been a record breaking eighth title, but he's people are saying that the title's done, it's dusted. Um, how do you sit on it? I mean, because they're only eight. I mean, it's only 19 points, I believe. So 19 points between the two. So, like I said, it only takes one retirement, and we know what Honda have been like in the past. So, what? How do you see it going into the last four races?
Um, to be honest, I still believe Red Bull have the fastest car, only because Mercedes hasn't updated their car since Silverstone. So
Mm,
the car it's been the same spec for a few months now, and Red Bull have built onto their car ever since Silverstone, and they built a really good quick car. But the Mercedes is quick enough to at least keep up with the Red Bull. So I wouldn't say the title race is done and dusted in my opinion. I feel like the next set of tracks that we're going to, including Brazil, it's going to be 50-50 between whether it's a Red Bull track
mm,
or a Mercedes track. And last weekend showed that it was a Red Bull track, obviously clearly because they dominated practice. Qualifying, they messed up, but they dominated the race, especially with Verstappen. He ran off into the wind. While I was watching practice one today, and they were doing quali sim, and
yeah.
at the moment the Mercedes is actually the fastest car. Whether that will remain the case when they turn the cars up to full whack during actual qualifying will remain to see. But I would say the title race is not done. It's 50-50. We haven't been to Qatar, so I don't know how the cars will perform at Qatar. But looking at
Yeah.
the track maps, it's similar to Bahrain, which is a good track for Mercedes anyway. So we'll see about that. And we haven't been to the new track in Saudi Arabia either. And it's apparently a high speed street circuit, so that could tip the balance a little bit into Red Bull's favour because Red Bull have been performing well on street circuits. Like Baku, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the tyre failure, Verstappen would have ran away and won that. Fair enough. And
Mm.
we won Monaco. Actually, we didn't even go Monaco this year. I was about to say we won Monaco. We didn't go Monaco. My bad. But and then the final race at Abu Dhabi, which is I'd say an even track, is it plays to
Mm.
both our strengths, and they've remodeled it a little bit as well. So we'll have to see how that change affects.
Yeah, because they've changed certain parts of the circuit to that, and it's trying to increase overtaking. So,
Exactly. So we'll have to see. But to answer your question, realistically, it's title's still open. The ball's in Red Bull's court, but you never know. With F1, things happen. Someone could have a crash, engine failure, etc., etc. So it's a 50-50, in my opinion.
yeah, I mean, this is the thing as well. As I think, as also you get down to the last four races going into it, um, the more the Red Bull, and so far he's dealt with the pressure, but the more it comes down to the last 4 or 5 races,
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton will have the experience of knowing what the pressure's like and dealing with that pressure. Max Verstappen, this is a whole different new spectacle he's in. He's leading the championship. He's got 4 races to go to see it out, and the pressure for him now, in everyone expecting him to go and do it now, is the pressure starts building and building.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's when nerves can. You saw in Mexico, like you see, I mean, you saw in Mexico where they that Red Bull. I think Red Bull as a team like screwed it up, but also like they were really caught unaware by Mercedes. So like he's got to be careful the pressure building up on him because
Exactly.
that's only going to get worse as the season goes on. Um, but like you said, the Red Bull is a quicker car, and like the Mercedes has not been developed since Silverstone. Um, and if it wasn't for the budget cap, it would have been like
Of course. Of course.
but that's the rules you're given with. And I would also say with Mercedes, with Hamilton on a personal front, is that if you saw after the Hungarian Grand Prix, he had to go even get checked by a doctor afterwards, and I think he come out in the press himself. He's even said that he's suffered from long COVID after having COVID from the Chequered Grand Prix. So the fact he's had to deal with that
Yeah,
whilst
exactly.
being able to compete with Verstappen, who's at the top of his game, is quite an outstanding achievement. Also in an undeveloped car. So
Of course.
like if this is where like you also start to see is that Hamilton might not have the greatest of car, but look, he's still in that fight and he's still within a shout. You even saw in 2010 we had a really outside shot in the last race of the season to go and win it, right? And he literally had to have literally everyone fall off the road to try and win it, but he was still in the hunt in the Mercedes in the McLaren that wasn't fast enough.
It's quick,
Simple.
I'd say. I'd argue that McLaren that season was pretty quick. I'd argue it was just as quick as Red Bull, actually, in
Well,
certain
I think
sectors.
2012 was, but 2010 wasn't. I think 2010 with Red Bull over qualifying were just like dominant. And 2012, I would say they had probably it was this last season of McLaren was one they should have won,
Yeah,
but
that I
too
agree with.
many mistakes and too many reliability issues cost him. So
Typical McLaren.
yeah, and that's McLaren. I think McLaren in a nutshell. So towards the end of his career there. So yeah, so Hamilton's done really, 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 really well to stay in it, but um, he's now on an upfield battle, a big time upfield battle. So um, do you think he can still overturn this round? Do you think like Hamilton can still like turn this round, even if Max doesn't have a retirement, for instance?
I'd say it's an outside chance that he can turn it around, but we'll have to see, to be honest, because at the end of the day, he's got a 5 place grid penalty for this weekend as well. And yes, he can use the tracks because the track is an overtaking track and it's got a few spots where he can overtake, but he will have to hope that Red Bull do a strategic error or Verstappen has a mistake or whatnot. Because Verstappen, as we said earlier, he's on form. He's on tip-top
Hmm.
form. He's not really made many mistakes this season. And most of his retirements this season, barring Silverstone and Italy, were just, either a sub-form of tyre blowout or whatever. So I'm not too sure if he could just easily turn it around. It's going to be an uphill struggle, tough battle for Hamilton. I'd say Hamilton has a chance of winning this weekend. I'm not sure about because we've never been there, and I'm not sure about Saudi Arabia. Obviously, Abu
Hmm.
Dhabi Hamilton's done pretty well there, actually, to be honest. So he's got another chance there. So I'd say out of the 4 races coming up, 2 of them I'd say that Hamilton's got a good chance of winning. But whether it'll be enough to turn the title around, I'm not too sure because we have to look at it as well. Verstappen's won, I think, 10 races this season compared to Hamilton's 5. So it's like, oof, I'm not sure. Personally, I want to see Hamilton
Hmm.
do it, and I want to see him get 8 because it'd be it'd be great for British motorsport in general to have a driver that's from
Yeah.
Britain that 8 world champions in the end of the day. But whether I can see him doing it, I'm not too sure, and that's only because Mercedes haven't updated them. And that's the only reason why I don't think Hamilton will do it. And like you said
I
earlier, the budget
also
cap. Yeah,
Yeah, I also think with Mercedes as well, their strategy has been very skeptical at times this season. They've had
That
good
I agree as well,
instances
man.
there. They've had numerous times where their strategy has not been on point at all. And Joy, I remember the 28. I remember back in China 2018, where there was a safety car period, and the Mercedes didn't box, but then they said they couldn't pit
Yeah, I remember. I
like
remember.
Hamilton. Yeah, they couldn't pit Hamilton in time, but yet the Red Bull in front of him managed to pit straight away
Exactly.
so as soon as it was called. So it for me it was more, and I said at the time, if Mercedes do not up their game strategy wise, if they get
Hmm.
someone that is just as good as them, they will they will
They
crumble.
have no answers.
It
Yeah,
will
I
get
agree.
exposed, and this is what's happened. And I think you've got a car that's been obviously been way outdated by the Red Bull, and also to top that, as much as I mean Hamilton's a great driver, and the fact he's kept it to it as it is brilliant, but like he's not a miracle worker, and in the end, like people love the fact of saying like, "Oh yeah, he wins it because he's in the best car," but well, you've got to have the best car, and you've got to,
Of
otherwise,
course.
you don't win. Otherwise, you can't. You have no chance of being at the front. So, like for me, it's like the strategy as well for Mercedes has really cost them some races this season.
Hmm.
Um, uh, I mean, Netherlands, the Dutch Grand Prix, for example, I think Max Verstappen was always going to be winning that Grand Prix, but
Yeah, but I'd
like
argue
they
that the
pitted way too
strategy
like the strategy was like they pitted way too early and they put him
too
in right
early.
into
Exactly.
traffic, so
Same
it
as
just
I
didn't
would
make
say.
sense.
Same as Mexico as well. The strategy wasn't
Mm,
tip top as well. Okay, yes, Bottas was spun out, so it kind of threw a spanner in the works. But they didn't bother going for the undercut. They didn't bother like testing, trying something new, and they weren't really even updating Hamilton with the strategy. I remember at one point Hamilton even was asking if they were still there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry mate, we're there." And it's like you said, and I agree with you. There have
mm,
been times where Mercedes, if someone's good and gives them a good strategy, they're not that good, and they've been a bit dubious. But they've been covered because they've built a faster car than anyone else in the last 7 years. So they didn't really need to worry about strategy as much as other teams.
mm.
But now that Red Bull are on par with them, actually even better than them, actually to be honest, yeah, the strategy errors have been coming through, and there's been a few races this season where I doubted Mercedes' strategic calls and doubted whether they have done the right thing. Like even I would even say Monza as well. Was it too early to put Hamilton? To be honest, they could have kept him out a little bit longer to and wait and do the overcut. But anyway, things happen in motorsport, and obviously, um,
I think the
it
Monza one
happens.
it was right. I think they were just a bit slow on the pit stop.
Yeah,
In
they
all
were a bit slow.
fairness,
Sorry, yeah, that I agree. They were a
and
bit
then
slow.
unfortunately, when you get like unfortunately, Max Verstappen doesn't know when to back down
Yeah, that as
as
well.
well. Um, so yeah, so for me that one wasn't really too much. I didn't really have too many issues with that one. I
Hmm.
think they had to take the opportunity while it was there because I think Verstappen was closing that gap very quickly. Um, I don't really blame him on that one. And I think if Verstappen had backed down, Hamilton would have gone on and won the race.
True, I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
but like like the Verstappen obviously thinks like he can push other people off the track, but it can't happen the other way around.
That's my main issue with Verstappen as well. Because
Mm,
Silverstone was another example of him thinking that you could do two into one. But yeah, I personally feel like you can go two into cops, but I feel like Verstappen just tried to chop him off the track, and Hamilton obviously wasn't going to back down in that situation when
well, if
he
you
had
look at
a
the
faster
steering
car inside.
angles, that people want to see saying that Hamilton turned into him, he never actually turned the steering wheel
No,
once towards him.
he was still
Like,
steering consistently
uh,
right.
and when people said, oh yeah, but you see it there, you said, oh, hang on, if you see it there when he makes contact, the steering wheel's gonna bloody move,
It's gonna
right?
move
Because it's made contact with him.
exactly.
So if you see Verstappen, he's like that, and then it goes in. even more.
proper more in, even more.
Like expecting him, like I'm gonna, even though you can see he's right beside him, he's like, oh yeah, and if you do it frame by frame, they're literally at that point at 1 point. So don't tell me he's not there. Like he's nowhere alongside him.
He
Like
was
of
there,
course,
proper alongside him. So it's a contentious debate, but and I still see a lot of Max fans still banging on about it. But I'm thinking it's happened like months ago, and the footage is there to show you that it was Verstappen's fault. He opened the gap, which allowed Hamilton to come in, and then he didn't even back down. He was on the outside lane as well, so it was a risky move from Verstappen in the first place. But that happened in the past before. We'll have to see what happens this weekend. Obviously, they're not going to start on the front row together, so we won't have any issues of the two drivers bumping into each other. But
unless Bottas wants to do Skittles like he did.
Oh yeah. Well, he's known for Skittles as well. He done it at the Hungarian. Thought, you know what, my brakes don't work. Whatever, I'm just going to run into everybody. He thought, why not?
Well, yeah, I mean, like that. At least that would be one thing that he's done useful. So, unlike the last one, like maybe that from this one, he like if he instead of letting him pass, just take him out. Like,
just take him out. But I feel like, in my opinion, Bottas is mentally checked out from Mercedes. Personally, that's why I don't feel like he's bothered to do the ringman role as well. He's done it before, because we watch a lot of racing. You know, in that instance, there you wanna cut off Verstappen from coming in, and you know the Toto probably told him to do that. But when once the race actually happened, he just thought, I don't really care. I'm off to Alpha next year, where I'm going to be the top dog. So why should I even bother helping Hamilton win the championship? So I'd say Bottas as well. He's a bit. You got to look out for that one there. To be honest, you got to look out for him because he's a bit. He's going to be a bit temperamental for the next few races. That's for sure. A bit temperamental.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, what's funny is I'm just watching 20 years on the 1991 Grand Prix.
I'm literally watching it now as we speak. Yes,
yeah, that's the thing. Is like, so yeah, there's 20 years on since then. So, but like
30 actually.
I mean, like obviously Brazil. Do you know what Brazil? Like, I think over time it's grown on me, and it's usually like tracks usually grow on me when Hamilton starts winning at them. Usually, like maybe apart from Spain, I never usually like that one. To be honest, it's always like a pain in. It's always a pain in the ass, that one. It's either they either grow on me because Hamilton wins, or they grow on me because or they either how do I say this? I either win at them on the game or Hamilton wins on them. That's how I usually like warm up to circuits, unless they're just generally a fan favorite. But like speaking of actual like races coming up, we're gonna go into the calendar for next season. So for everyone that is interested, so Saudi Arabia becomes from the second to last race to the second race of the season.
Okay, interesting.
Next season, Australia again has been dropped down to the third race of the season. Bearing in mind they obviously passed everything in terms of COVID. There's 23 races this season as well. You've got the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix is back.
I like that. I like him a lot. Good.
Portimao has been dropped from this season. I'm not too. Will I miss that? I think I will too much. And the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, I think, has been confirmed to 2023 at least. So that's all cool. That's all sorted for now. And then I've heard they actually want to extend longer into that as well. So that's good news. Spain, Miami as well. Miami's now on the calendar. So there's two races in the United States.
I can see what Liberty Media are doing. They're trying to increase their reach in the Americas, which is working actually through the power of Netflix. To be honest, there's a lot of new F1 fans, and I'd say
there's a lot of also. It's not just that. It's a lot of companies sell their products in most of their products in America, so it's where they want to do business. So a lot of their sponsors. So of course, you've obviously got Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada in that order. Britain is is ahead of Austria and France
That's
for a
interesting.
change, and then
Interesting.
Hungary. Yeah. Then it's then it finishes off with USA, Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi as the usual suspects. So yeah, it's kind of like kind of mixed it around as such, but 23 races in total. New cars as well. So as people might say, and I'll just bring up Leicester Tyre comment now. Like I agree. I want Hamilton to do the 8, but it won't be this season. Come back next season's bigger and stronger. The problem is that next season we don't know whether they're going to be at the front or not.
That
They,
exactly.
That's the thing as well. A lot of as much as they've said we don't, and when they came out and said in Monaco, we're investing in next year, so we're not updating this car very much. I'm immediately like that. Well, you better make sure you have a plan up you, right? And you better make sure if we don't win this title, like you're coming next season with a car that's going to be unbeatable, right? That's the only way you're going to justify it, right? So if they come next season with a car that's 4 or 5 tenths quicker, but easily beatable by other teams by strategy, well, I'm sorry, that whole excuse of not spending this season, right, was completely not bothered. She might as well not have bothered.
Because in my opinion, I feel like they should have spent this season. They had the fastest car probably the fastest car in F1
because they
history.
didn't want to see what they didn't want to do what happened to Red Bull in 2014, where they were caught up by the new hybrid rules.
Which
that's the problem.
And I agree, and it's totally fair of them because I've seen past examples. I say even Ferrari, Mercedes, and McLaren in 2008 going into 2009.
Sorry, because also the thing is as well is that they have engines frozen for 3 years after, straight after, and then also you only have like kind of like tokens, upgrade tokens.
Yeah.
So you can only like have a certain amount of upgrades each season. So if you get it wrong, you're pretty much stuck like that for God knows to the end of the season, or probably even further. So that's probably why they've been like that. So you can get it to a sense.
And I feel like I agree with what you're saying, and I hear that that in my opinion, they should have spent the money in upgrading the car because they, like I said, they had the fastest car in 2020. They had probably the fastest F1 car of all time. Smashed a lot of records. Yes, the new rule changes of this season cut out a lot of the floor, which affected their performance in the high rake. The high rake design that they have in
the high rake design. It got enabled a lot more, didn't it? So
yeah, exactly. But
trust me, I've had to change all my freaking car setups on the game, mate. It's a nightmare.
I need to get on the game and change my setups as well, actually, to be fair. But
mate, you want to see my rake? It started going up like that, like a freaking
because that was
next minute. It started turning up vertical, mate.
No, I hear you, but I feel like Mercedes should have just taken a gamble because they've got clever engineers that could have worked on next season's car anyway and built a very good car for next year.
Well, that's why James Anderson took a step back. He's saying he's taking a step back from F1. No, it's because you're doing the next year's car, mate. I don't think we're stupid.
Yeah. But I also feel like him taking a step back will help Mercedes in the long run because I feel like Mercedes, because they've got so many clever engineers, they will find a loophole in that rule book that will enable them to build a good car. Like for example, last year they built the DAS system. They came up with the dual axis system.
Yeah, my petition to have the DAS system re-enabled back in F1 didn't really work out. So it's worth a try.
No, I can see why the FIA banned it though. It's a bit expensive to put into every car, and the amount of money that has been thrown at it for that minuscule performance upgrade.
But then to be fair, if you watch that season, most of the seasons were in cold temperatures. So if you watch the restarts, the safety car restarts, the Mercedes would all pull away. They're all like,
they all do it.
They all can't keep up. Well, that's it. The Mercedes are already gone.
Exactly.
So that's why when it came to the safety car restarts last season, I'm like, I'm chilled. Like Verstappen's gonna do what? What's he gonna do? Because as
Nothing,
soon as
mate.
the flag went, that was it. Gunn was gone. He's like that, trying to keep Ricardo behind him, like him
Exactly.
in the Renault.
But you shouldn't. But this season, if it got flipped upside down, Mexico was an example where I just couldn't keep up with him in the safety car restart at all. Just couldn't keep up.
Oh, just watching this intro already. They're already freaking like living it up already.
Oh, of course, Sky Sports sensationalism, mate. Of course.
Sky Sports sensationalism. Do you know what? The Sky Sports sensationalism, and like, I'm not denying his talent, but the sensationalism over this kid has been just mad. And this is why you get people coming out and saying like he's the the greatest of all time. He's like he's won 10 races in a season, which is the first time he's done in ages. So yeah, so like it really does like they just need to, for me, like tone it down a little. Like,
Nah, I agree. I feel like Hamilton definitely is the GOAT because from his first season till now, he's won a race at least, and he's been given it to the top drivers. He flipping made Alonso quit McLaren after one season, and Alonso was a reigning world champion. And people forget this as well. Since that season, Alonso's been rattled about the British media since that season. So Hamilton's got into his head from the get-go. And Verstappen, yes, he's come in, he's done well, and he won a race. He joined in 2015, had a good 2015. But for me, he was good in that Toro Rosso, but he never was like, wow, this guy's going to be a future legend. He was one of those drivers.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was one of those great starts to the season, and he had that race in China where he was making great overtakes. Yeah, and then like it was kind of like all it was all doing well. It was all doing good at the start of the season, and then obviously with Kvyat didn't work out at Red Bull when they had enough of him, especially after Sochi. So they decided to obviously take Max, who was marginally doing better than Sainz. Sainz was holding his own.
Yeah,
in Toro Rosso.
I'd even argue that they were level.
Yeah,
I'd argue.
And that's the thing. They were marginally doing it. They compete with each other, but they chose him because he was marginally better, and because he won that first Grand Prix with Red Bull, it was sort of that was it. Bang! They're like everyone saying he's the next biggest thing that's going to come in F1, and probably he will do. But then if you look at Lando Norris, right, and what he has to drive, and he's finished what if he actually pitted early enough, he would have won the Russian Grand Prix. Russian Grand Prix. You've got George Russell. Give him the mutt next year, and he's gonna show Verstappen what turn of pace is, as well as Lewis Hamilton, right? So, like
controversial opinion, but I feel like sorry to cut you up there, but I feel like Verstappen's gonna have a Kimi Räikkönen type career. Controversial. I feel like Räikkönen, like Verstappen, was quick when he was young, had 1-2 title challenges in him, eventually won the title. Then once he won the title, it just went downhill from there. And I feel like that's the same thing that's gonna happen with Verstappen, in my opinion. I feel like Verstappen might win more titles than Kimi Räikkönen, but I feel like he peaked too early, and whether he can sustain that peak, I'm not too sure. Like there's other drivers you mentioned there, Lando Norris, George Russell. We're also forgetting Charles Leclerc. These are drivers that are bloody quick, and they've done it in slower cars and shown their pace. So we'll have to see if Verstappen can hold them off in the future. But I don't know. Going back to this season, though, I feel like Verstappen, the ball's in his court. He'll have to mess up somehow the title to go to Hamilton. But we'll see. But I'm very intrigued with qualifying today to see if Red Bull were sandbagging during practice.
Yeah.
The practice pace that Mercedes was showing was genuine pace. Because obviously, I don't really look into practice times because teams are
because they're on different programs, different fuels, and absolutely.
You never get excited by practice. You want to see, you really see a true pace during qualifying. So we'll have to see what happens in qualifying. I'll be very intrigued. Let's hope Bottas actually does something and tries to get on the front row at least. Let's also hope that We get a little mistake there from Sergio Perez again, which messes up Max's lap again. Let's hope a little mistake again will do. But yeah, should be an interesting qualifying today. Should be very interesting. The cars, the cars look good. Mercedes looked good today, to be fair. But engine penalty, we'll see if the engine penalty was worth taking. And I think it was worth taking, to be honest, because we can't have Hamilton in a race have his engine blow up. Let's say he's chasing Verstappen or in the
What
lead.
do you think to what Hamilton's come out and said on the run up to this weekend? Because I'll just put quickly, I'm just reading something just now. It says,
Yeah, sure, go on.
I think people underappreciate just how well we've done, considering the pace they've had since day one, says Lewis Hamilton, who's 19 points behind Max Verstappen. He says, challenge this weekend is as steep as it can be. It's a bit of mind games, to be honest. It's like to crank up the pressure a bit, and fair play him, like that's what you expect. But he has got a very good point. If you looked at towards pre-season testing, everyone was like, "Oh my god, Red Bull going to actually walk away with this." Like even I was thinking, like they're going to walk away with this, like because like Mercedes couldn't even get it around. They couldn't get it around the track without spinning it or having some sort of problem with the way they set up, the way they designed their car. So the fact, I mean, within the first two races, they've caught up. But in the third race, the fourth race, they were clearly ahead. I mean, like the Spanish Grand Prix, they were just clearly ahead and faster overall. So yeah, so for me, like he's got a point. The fact he's managed to, the fact he's managed to keep up with Red Bull despite that pace they've shown since preseason testing, I think like Mercedes do deserve a lot of credit in that sense, but I still feel there's more they could have easily done to stop it getting this far out. Like I still feel they could have done another upgrade for me.
Yeah,
one upgrade. I think that's what they needed. I think they needed one more upgrade, and I still feel they could have done that to at least make it like so close. Because even United States Grand Prix, I don't even think United States Grand Prix, Max Verstappen was faster. I actually think Hamilton was faster.
Yeah,
right. So for me, if they'd had the upgrade, another upgrade, Hamilton walks that race. Mexico, they match each other. Brazil, anyone's game. So Abu Dhabi, I would say you'd have to say it's you'd have to say it's Mercedes, I would say in that sense. But yeah, for me, like just one more upgrade would have really put it on a nice edge.
I agree.
Because I think a lot of fans would seem to say, yeah, it's 19 points, but they're still bloody quick. Like this ain't over. So I think the way that the pace is looking at the minute is why people are saying that it looks done and dusted. Because no matter what seeing the Mercedes are fighting at them, it doesn't seem to work.
We'll have to see. But I agree with you though. One more upgrade would have been good. But like we said earlier, I think Mercedes are putting all their bets into next season to get that right, which is a fair point actually. To be fair, because if they do get it right, then what they did this season was the right move. But we'll have to see. But let's not forget as well, Red Bull have Adrian Newey designing the car, and he's a very good designer, and we know that he can design a very quick car. So we'll have to see. But I agree with you. One more upgrade would have been perfect. Just one more, even like an upgrade after the Hungarian Grand Prix, in between the summer break, would have been good. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if Mercedes make the right plan. And Sky and I are replaying the start from last weekend, and again, as you can see there, Bottas just clearly left the door open. He did get screwed. Bottas did get screwed over by Ricardo. To be fair, I must say.
Do you know what? Like, I didn't do a review to that Grand Prix, and I got bloody because I would have been losing it. How do you let him? See, looking at Mexico start again on the replay, look, he doesn't ever sit. He doesn't shut off at all.
Nah, not at
Perez
all.
was never Perez was never going to get in the middle between the two of them. So why didn't he close the door off? Like, see, look, he's leaving the slipstream in the slipstream, and Bottas, I just don't get it. I just don't get it whatsoever. Like, and as soon
I
as
don't
he
get it
did that,
either.
would you still think Max Verstappen would have won the Grand Prix if that happened anyway?
Yeah,
Because
he had the pace
partly
advantage.
might be thinks the dirty air would have prevented him overtaking Bottas, because Bottas would have been second, and they could have Hamilton to go scamper off into the distance. So
In my opinion, though, I still feel like the race pace, the Red Bull was half a second at some points faster than Hamilton,
yeah,
to be honest. So even if they had the perfect start, Verstappen was going to overtake them at some point. He was either on the track or in the pits that we're going to do it at some point, just because of the pace advantage. But they were just quicker. The Red Bull was just quicker, and it was expected. Everyone expected them to be quicker all weekend. Qualifying was a bit of a blip. And they just ran off with it. And to be honest with you, that race, nothing really happened anyway. I don't blame you for not doing the review, actually, to be fair, because nothing really happened in that race. Everything happened at the start of the race, and then that was it.
Yeah, that was it. It was done. It was finished. It was done. I'm going to quickly go through one more thing before we wrap this up. And I'll just go through the final driver lineup, because everything's been confirmed now pretty much in terms of the driver lineup for next year.
Now, but we'll have to see. Go
on. So obviously Hamilton and Russell, as we all know, at Mercedes, then followed by Max Verstappen and Perez. Then third will be Daniel. Then in the McLaren is obviously they retain their driver lineup, same as Aston Martin. Alpine and also Ferrari maintain their driver lineups. Same as AlphaTauri. The change is at Alfa Romeo. Giovinazzi is still to be confirmed, but Valtteri Bottas has moved to Alfa Romeo, obviously replacing.
I think Giovinazzi is not getting a callback.
I don't think he will.
In my opinion, Giovinazzi, he's an average driver.
Ilott should get the chance.
Who? Ilott, yes. Ilott. Yeah, definitely. He came, I think, second in the FD Championship a couple years ago. Was meant to get the house seat until Mazepin came up with, I don't know how much money he was offering, to be honest. So I feel like, but I'm hearing Guan Yu Zhou was going to take the seat, actually, to be honest. I'm hearing he's going to take the seat.
Yeah, I think he was one of the favourites as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
speaking of Haas, they keep their driver lineup, unfortunately, with Mazepin. That is, luckily with Schumacher, but we'll see if their idea of not spending a penny this season and actually focus on next season will actually pay off. Anyone want to bet they're going to win the title because of that?
I wouldn't place a bet on it, that's for sure, mate.
I'd be a brave man. I'd be a very brave man if it does. If they say they put all their finances to it, it doesn't mean that means they're going to put more money than freaking Mercedes. Like Mercedes will still have out they have a budget cap. There's still certain expenditure they can that is outside the budget that they can do. And again, that all comes. They all spend that budget. That even though it's outside the budget, that money all goes to one thing: the performance of the car in the end. So. And then lastly, Williams, obviously with George Russell going to Mercedes, Alexander Albon has left the Red Bull outfit and gone to Williams. I think he's left the Red Bull outfit. Let me just double check that. It might be actually on a loan. Because they do loans, actually.
Yeah, so what I heard with Albon's contract is he's still signed to Red Bull.
Yeah, it's a loan.
It's a loan move to Williams until a Red Bull seat basically opens up.
I think, yeah. Let me hang on. It might actually confirm it. It might confirm it for me. No, wrong one. It was that one, wasn't it? No, it wasn't that one either. Where was it? Where did I find that? Ah, there it is. Nope. I had it here somewhere. There it is. Racefans.net. There you go. To be confirmed test and reserve drivers. So they haven't confirmed him, but I suspect he is there. He is going to be there. So there you go. But yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, qualifying's coming up in about half an hour for our stream anyway for the qualifying. So we're gonna wrap it up there. Make sure to. What's that?
I was going to say quality predictions.
Quality predictions. Sure, I'll start. No, go on, you start. By the way, in totals to the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes are still ahead by 1 point. I still think Mercedes, though, will take the Constructors' Championship. So I don't think Perez. I'll just mention about this. I don't think Perez, as much as like people say he's done well and he did well at Mexico and that, I still think Mercedes will still take the Constructors' Championship because over a team perspective, they'll still get more points than Red Bull. Because I still feel Perez will do another quali where he ends up 8th.
Yes, which is weird because he's in the car that can qualify pole, but
because it's built for Verstappen.
To be fair,
it's not Red Bull racing; it's Verstappen racing. If you may not notice.
Exactly. Yeah. Nah. Everyone knows this. You can say the same about Mercedes. To be fair, it's technically Lewis Hamilton races.
Yeah. Well, the only reason that's happened like that is because they've always ended up on less points, and he's never been as aggressive or as fast than Hamilton. Like usually within the first 3-4 races, Hamilton's already about a race victory clear of him. So that's why it naturally ends up like that. Verstappen, it's pretty much nailed on from day dot. It's going to be Verstappen. Yeah. Whereas if you see with Bottas can still win a Grand Prix when he's in his car. He can still manage to get pole position in the Mercedes and a Grand Prix. Perez can't even do that. The only reason he won that Grand Prix is because Hamilton forgot to turn off the magic button.
Exactly that. Literally. That's why he won the Grand Prix. He forgot to turn it off.
Yeah.
Few quid in my opinion. But to answer your question about quality predictions, I think quality, obviously we're going to exclude the grid penalties. So how it will end up is Hamilton pole, Verstappen second. I'd say third would be Bottas. He'll get his hand out of his ass somehow.
You're talking about F1 wingmen next, and I'm like, oh, please, after what I saw last weekend, I don't need this. Like, get out of here. Like, not after what I saw last weekend. You can get lost.
And then I'd say fourth place would go to, you know what? Going by practice pace, Perez. But then again, I don't believe in Perez getting fourth, so I could see a Ferrari getting there, Leclerc getting fourth. Fifth, probably going to Perez, and then from there on, I don't even know really. Truly, it's a mix and match to be honest. But Hamilton will pull out a phenomenal lap today. So that's for sure. He will go pole. He will get pole. Obviously, he won't start on pole because obviously
he'll do a Senna.
But he would do a Senna. I don't know what he would do. He'll just figure it out. And also, we've got a sprint race tomorrow as well. So that will throw another spanner in the works as well.
Do you know what? What do you think of that? Because I think they've done that trial in the wrong season. They need to do it next season when the cars are closer and they can overtake each other. They've done it in a season. They've done it in a season. How can you get a proper, accurate reading when you know next season the cars are going to be able to race each other next season? You can't determine whether it's going to be any good for the sport if this season, if you're using next season's cars which are designed to do that thing.
No, I'm with you on that one, but I still feel like sprint race was a good idea. It mixes up the weekend a little bit. You get qualified on the Friday, which was the first time.
I think Max Verstappen might have something to say that after Silverstone.
Yeah, he had to obviously.
It gave Hamilton the idea of saying, "I've got to get up there at cops straight away."
No, he gave him an idea. No, but I thought the Silverstone sprint race was good. I thought it was not too bad. Alonso was actually doing a lot of overtakes and he was defending pretty wise.
Good for him. Hamilton wasn't. I don't care about him. Who cares about Alonso these days?
Yeah, no, true. Who cares about him, really? Realistically, who cares? But I
I
think
mean, you got to beat by Ocon to a Grand Prix, for God's sake.
No, I'm with you though. I feel like it was the wrong season though to introduce the idea because the cars, the way they're designed, they can't really overtake each other unless you've got a 2-second delta.
They lose up to about 42% of their downforce in 10 meters, whereas next season it'll be about I think it's 14%.
I heard it was 5% actually. I heard it was 5. Once you get to like
No, if it's 20 meters,
if it's 20
under
meters,
10.
5. Oh, okay. But
It's
that's still
14% in 10 meters.
But still, they should have tried it next season because then we'll know if it's a good idea. I feel like because it was successful this season, and I put it in quotation marks, they're gonna increase the amount of races that have sprint races next year. So we might even get even more sprint. We'll get more sprint racing, but let's hope the cars work as designed. Because if they do work as designed, then the sprint races would be the best thing ever, in my opinion. Best thing. Finally, an F1 race where it reminds me of the early 2000s, where F1 races were just flat out sprint races, where you had low fuel, you did your refueling, and you just done another 10, 15 qualifying laps. That's what we want to see. I don't want to see F1 cars drive around at 70% of their pace on a Sunday. That's kind of dead. I want to see F1 cars flat out push the limits. So we'll have to see next season if it's a good idea. But I thought it was not too bad. I thought it was interesting to have sprint races, in my opinion. I thought it was interesting. Not too bad.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. For me, qualifying, it would be Hamilton on pole, which means he starts third.
Yeah.
Bottas will do something bloody useful for once.
Hopefully.
Get second.
Hopefully.
Right? And actually lead into turn 1 and hold up the rest of everyone else. So that Hamilton can climb up the grid. Then we've got, who else we got? That I would say third, I'm going to say Leclerc, actually.
You think?
Like, Leclerc's done some decent laps in that. I know it's a practice session, but he's done some decent laps in that practice session, mate.
No, I agree. That's what I was saying. That's why I was even thinking he might qualify ahead.
Which is a shame because McLaren was expect better from McLaren around here, especially with that last part of the circuit where it's all acceleration up the hill. Because if you saw the first two sectors, the Ferrari was matching everyone in the first and second sector, but the third sector was where they were struggling climbing up the hill.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to see.
So there we
we'll have to see.
Oh, Karen Horner. Oh, the full blame names on Hamilton. No.
Sky sensationalism again.
The guy, that what do you think of that guy? That guy is just like, he winds me the fuck up. He is literally like, you're not allowed to race if it's Max Verstappen or Red Bull.
Yeah.
Right? And anyone else, no, you're not allowed to do it. It's against the rules.
I just think it's a twat. Simple as.
Guy winds me up, honestly.
See, you also winds me up sometimes. Paul the Resto as well. He winds me up as well, man. He's a bit of a Max fan. You can tell he's a Max fan. Anytime Hamilton has a good race, he always.
I met him as well.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him as well, and his family. Because I was we went to the British Grand Prix and we met Lewis Hamilton as well. Then we got passes into the paddock, so we got a chance to see the drivers at the Force India garage, which was cool. And then as we were walking down the pit lane, we saw Hamilton come out of the garage, going back to go debrief in the motorhome. So my mum just grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and just like, get through the crowd, like to get a picture. So but yeah. Anyway, we're gonna leave it there because we've got to start the stream in about 10-15 minutes. But thanks Rick for coming on. Where can I find you, my friend?
They can find me at Instagram and Twitter at RickSanchez_7. Twitter is where I mostly talk about F1 and other sports and whatnot. My Instagram is more like just like my DJ page, a DJ and whatnot. But yeah, follow me, and I've got a lot of F1 opinions, and I can talk about it all day if you want. So yeah, just have me.
Wicked. No worries, no worries. You're more than welcome. Come back anytime. And like, same as anyone wants to come on, please DM me at SFeatley is there down below. But please do smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, hit the share button as well. Please do share it around. It really is important to us. And we're back in literally 15 minutes for the qualifying session. So until then, everyone stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye bye.